All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today we have a few things to discuss. First being a rumor coming from caio, where he says that he's heard, apparently, that Chimaev might retire after winning the middleweight belt. So he recently did an interview, and let's just get right into it, man. So, the interview starts off with him saying, Kyle says, I heard somewhere some people saying that if he wins the belt, he's going to retire. And then the interviewer's like, you've heard that? Really? From where? And he's like, I've heard some little talks, some whispers. If he wins the belt, he retires. And then he says, I'm not sure of that. So, as far as right now, the reason why I even give this rumor any credit is because if you look back, Chimaev and caio were training together. And they seem friendly on the video and all that. And obviously I wasn't there and you don't have the full story. But they seem like cordial. So I'm assuming they probably have mutual friends from that. So that's probably where Caio's hearing this from. Not only that, MMA is relatively a small world. So rumors, spread like wildfire. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm giving this a little credibility. But you never know. So Caio then says, I don't know if I believe that or not. But it's an option. There's too much pressure on him, health problems. And that's the thing. The talk about the pressure is, I'm pretty sure he's referring to like the whole country that he represents, like his original country, like Chechnya and all that, and especially Russia. Like he has a certain expectation, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that as well. And not only that, like he said, the health problems. And the reason why I fight back against this rumor is because the health problems, if you look at when Chimaev was sick during COVID, he did retire. Briefly, however, but in his retirement, he was visited by a few people from his home country, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure they convinced him to continue because they're like, oh, come on, man. Like, you still got some in your tank. Let's go. Like, come on. And I feel like as much as the pressure, Caio then says he has a lot of pressure from his country. Maybe he retires, maybe he doesn't. He has a lot of money already. And that goes back to my point, right? So his countrymen convinced him to stay in the sport. And then Caio's like, oh, he has a lot of money. Where is that money coming from? I feel like a lot of it's coming from his home country as well. It's not like they're just going to be like, oh, Chimaev, we like you as a person. Here's millions of dollars and stuff like that, right? I don't think that's how it works. I think it's because he's so good at MMA. So I feel like even if there are talks like this, I feel like he's going to be visited again. We're like, come on, we're just getting started. You just won the belt. Because I'm pretty sure, like obviously Dagestan, they have a bunch of champions like Makhachev, Khabib, and Ankalaev. Whereas Chechnya, I don't think they've had a UFC champion yet. So I think that would be so huge. And just the fact that if he wins the belt, I feel like retirement, obviously he could potentially, but I just don't think it would be a good idea because you want to ride the wave, right? Because let's say he wins the belt and retires. Eventually, he's going to lose popularity and he's going to lose out on a lot of opportunities that he could have got, especially in the Western world. I feel like in the East where he's from, he has millions of fans. His following is going to go nowhere, right? Because if he becomes champion, he's basically his legacy set in stone. However, if he becomes champion and stays, he can make so much more money, so much more opportunity, especially in the Western Hemisphere, like I said. And I just feel like it would be a very unwise decision to retire right away, especially even if you are bouncing around with retirement. You can pull the thing with Khabib. Like, obviously, Khabib didn't take the offer, but you've seen how much money they were willing to pay Khabib to come back and fight Conor again or even fight someone else. And Khabib's like, no. So I feel like Chimaev definitely could use some hard-tactic negotiation because in middleweight, aside from Adesanya, I'd say he's probably the biggest star. And that's the thing. Adesanya's star power is fading as well because of all the losses. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. I just feel like, even if, like I said, if he is considering retirement, I feel like his countrymen and they're going to be like, hey, man, we're just getting started. Like, let's pump the brakes on retirement. Like, let's get a few title defenses going and maybe even consider going up to be a double champion. I don't know if he'd be willing to fight Ankalaev because that's the thing. I know that Pereira and Ankalaev are going to rematch. I really don't care to see that rematch, and I feel like it's going to go the same way. So I feel like Ankalaev is probably going to be the champion for a while in 205. Unless Yuri can hit him with some crazy combination, I just feel like Ankalaev's too much of a smart fighter. He's kind of risk adverse in a sense where he's not going to put himself in the fire. Whereas that style, I think he's going to take over the light heavyweight division. So Chimaev might be able to fight him in the future. And then if Chimaev beats Dricus, depending on how the UFC sees Dricus's title reign, they might have to rematch as well. So just because he wins the belt, depending on, obviously if Chimaev goes in and demolishes him, I don't think there's going to be any appetite for a rematch. But I think this fight will be a war no matter who wins. But yeah. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think this rumor has any credit? Do you think Chimaev will retire after the middleweight belt if he wins? Like I said, I don't buy it simply because I feel like even if he has intentions, he'll be talked to and be like, hey, no, let's keep going. So, yeah. The health problems and everything are an issue for sure. And obviously, let's say he gets to rounds 3 or 4 in this fight against Dricus and his cardio goes down the drain. Because that's the thing, he has been training with TJ Dillashaw's trainer. And if you hear the Jackson podcast, how high TJ is on him. So I feel like he will help. But at the same time, a month or so before the fight, how much is that really going to do? But yeah, if Chimaev can fully recover from his lung damage and everything from COVID, I think he's smooth sailing. I think if he beats Dricus, Imavov or Borhallo, I feel like Imavov would be a harder challenge for him because Imavov has a lot more power and he's just a lot more imposing in the cage and he's a lot more complete. That being said, Borhallo is still really good. I just give Imavov a little more of a chance against Chimaev because that's the thing. Chimaev's already trained with Borhallo, so he kind of knows what he brings to the table as well. So yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think. I'm kind of up in the air, but I'm leaning towards this isn't true. But yeah, it may be a thought, but as far as concrete, no. Now, moving on. Derrick Lewis versus Tallison Teixeira. Now, if we look at the odds here, so the odds are Derrick Lewis plus 210 as the underdog, and Tallison Teixeira is minus 280 as the favorite. Now, if we look at the tail of the tape here, so the records are Derrick Lewis, 28 wins, 12 losses, and 1 no contest. So he's been around for a long time. Plus, I'm pretty sure he's in his 40s as well. Whereas Tallison Teixeira, he's up and coming. He's 8-0, perfect record, all the confidence in the world. And let's just see. Tallison Teixeira, age. Sorry, so again, 25. Look at that, 25, right? Whereas Derrick Lewis, I'm pretty sure he's in his 40s as well. Yeah, Derrick Lewis is 40. So the youth difference, night and day, and obviously that's going to give him the advantage, especially in the speed. And not only that, Tallison Teixeira's body type. You look at the heights here. Tallison Teixeira, 6'7", whereas Derrick Lewis is 6'3". Now, 6'3" is not short by any means, don't get me wrong. However, 6'7", Tallison Teixeira is going to have a reach advantage as well, because the reach is Tallison Teixeira, 83 inches, Derrick Lewis, 79 inches. And yeah, I was watching some tape over Derrick Lewis and Tallison Teixeira. Tallison, obviously, he isn't fully proven in the UFC. Like, he beat Tafa. However, Tafa is not exactly GOAT material, right? Justin Tafa. So it's hard to say where he's going to go. However, Derrick Lewis, on the other hand, you look at his last 3 performances. So he beat Nascimento by round 3 TKO. And then he lost to Almeida. He basically just got out-grappled the entire time. It was a relatively boring fight, but that just goes to show that there's a huge hole in Derrick Lewis's grappling department. However, I don't think this fight's going to be grapple-heavy at all. Tallison Teixeira does have a submission, but he's primarily a striker. And then Derrick Lewis won by round 1 TKO versus De Lima. And before that, he lost a submission against Sergey Spivak. Then he lost to Pavlovich by round 1 TKO. Then he lost by round 2 TKO by Tai Tuivasa, beat De Kaus, and then he got battered by Cyril Gane. Whereas Cyril Gane, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but near the end, he just teed off on Derrick Lewis. And you look at all this, so 40, all these wars, and that's the thing. Derrick Lewis has won 2 out of his last 3. However, I weigh in a lot of these losses as well, because whenever Derrick Lewis is fighting someone who's out on the range, like a Cyril Gane, kicking him, like lead teeping him and jabbing him, he gets frustrated. And I feel like I don't know if Tallison Teixeira is going to go for the kill right away because Derrick Lewis, he's a lot better than Junior Tafa, obviously, or Justin Tafa, sorry. So I feel like he's going to pick apart Derrick Lewis in the first round. I feel like he's definitely going to try to fit or frustrate him, right? Throw a lot of teeps, throw a lot of jabs. And Tallison Teixeira, he's a very smart striker with really good head movement. And not only that, I was watching one of his highlights where he did get a little sloppy. However, he was getting hit clean on the chin by another heavyweight, and he was fine. You know, he wasn't rocked or anything like that, so he's got a chin on him. Obviously, it's heavyweight, so you can't just put your chin out and bang, 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 right? But I just feel like Tallison Teixeira, he's not a fat heavyweight. He's long, he's tall, and he uses his range well. Not only that, with the Justin Tafa fight, he got him up against the cage, and he has really good clinch work because he was in the clinch, opens up, boom, elbow. So he's a dynamic striker. Whereas Derrick Lewis, obviously he got the flying knee or whatever, and he throws a few kicks, but for the most part, Derrick Lewis is a fat heavyweight with just kind of like a boxing style. Whereas I feel like, especially the speed, the timing of Teixeira, I just don't see Derrick Lewis getting this one done. And not only that, it's just, how much does Derrick Lewis still have left in the tank when shit goes bad, right? Shit started going bad for the Pavlovich fight, the Tai Tuivasa fight, and the Cyril Gane fight. And he has a hard time turning it around. Like, obviously, he can land a Hail Mary, but I just don't think Tallison Teixeira is going to play that game with him. So I feel like Tallison Teixeira, like I said, pick him apart in round one. Start frustrating him. Derrick Lewis is going to start over-swinging. Not gassing himself out, but definitely wearing on his gas tank. And then I feel like in round two, he's going to really put it on him and start going for those calf kicks. And I think he's going to push him against the fence. And that's the thing. This can all happen in round one. I don't know if Tallison's going to go that intense right away because this is his first main event in the UFC. So I don't know if it'd be wise because that's the thing. Derrick Lewis can get chinned. We've seen it before, but it's a very risky game plan. So yeah, I'd say rounds 2, TKO. I feel like he's going to frustrate him in the first round, then bring him up against the fence, and then start going for the elbows, the knees, and everything. Kind of swarm Derrick Lewis where he doesn't know what to do. And I think Tallison Teixeira, he definitely has the power to knock Derrick Lewis down. So he might drop Derrick Lewis in round 1, but I think Derrick Lewis is going to last till round 2, and then that's where Tallison Teixeira is going to really pick up the pace, learn and download all the data, and then get to it. Because, yeah, I just don't think Derrick Lewis has what it takes to handle these, like, long, tall, athletic heavyweights. And, yeah, obviously if Tallison Teixeira makes a mistake and just goes in there and boxes with him, then obviously he can't get chinned, but if Tallison plays it smart, which I think he will, because you beat Derrick Lewis, he's a big name in the heavyweight division, and I feel like this would do a lot for his career. And not only that, heavyweight division is a disaster right now. Tom Aspinall's, like, by next year, he's going to lap the division, like, 3 times. So we definitely need new faces, and I'd like to see that actually another heavyweight, 6'7", in shape, not fat. And then that goes back to what I was saying over here. You look at Justin Tafa, or Junior Tafa, sorry. Junior Tafa, he went down to light heavyweight, and people see a picture of him, and he's like, wow, like, he's actually shredded, like, relatively, you know what I mean? He's not like an Armin Sarukian or anything, bad Apollo, but no, he looks really good, and that's the thing, a lot of these, like, fatter heavyweights, I feel like if they drop down to 205, they do amazing. So I guess we'll see what happens with Junior Tafa, but yeah, it's nice to see that some of these heavyweights, and people are realizing it's like, damn, a lot of these heavyweights are just fat and lazy middleweights and light heavyweights. So I don't think that's the case for Derrick Lewis, however. I don't think Derrick Lewis would ever be able to make 205, but yeah. I'm excited for this new age of heavyweight division because that's the thing. Obviously, he can get fraud checked or whatever, but I'm really hoping Tallison Teixeira wins too because, like I said, the heavyweight division needs new stars, needs new names, and I like to think that a guy built like this with the dynamic striking he's got, the head movement, the flashiness, I think he can pass this test with flying colors. And I would just like to see the top of the heavyweight division. I know it's superficial, but I'd like to see them, you know, in shape, you know, muscular, lean, not guts and everything like that. Like, I get the heavyweight division isn't the best division in the UFC. However, it is still professional fighting. And UFC is at the peak of the sport. So I don't think anyone in the top 15 should have a gut on them in any division. But that's just me, you know what I mean? I'm not a pro athlete. It is what it is. And, yeah. Like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And, yeah, peace.